What's up, guys? Today I want to take you through my 3 most annoying champions in mid lane and how to counter them. Personally, I hate playing against Zed, Sylas, and Katarina, so I'm just going to talk about kind of how to beat them at an identity level, how to deal with them, how to make them a lot less annoying. Okay, so the first one is Katarina. Now, the first thing to understand when we're talking about these champions is what they do at an identity level, right? What is Katarina's job? What does Katarina strive to do? So the things that she really likes is she likes to roam, she likes to skirmish, she likes to 2v2, like the skirmish just means 2v2, 3v3. She likes to roam, she likes to skirmish, she likes to take big team fights, right? Team fights, burst damage. These are the things that she really likes. The things that she's bad at, I'll put you on the left side, are things like duels / extended trades, right? She's really bad at these long extended trades. She's bad at wave control. She doesn't have a lot of wave control, and she's not really good at kind of like lane phase in general, right? So let's just take a couple of examples. Let's say we're playing Victor. Actually, first, let's talk about denying her job is the most important thing. The most important thing we can do is make sure she can't roam, make sure she can't skirmish, make sure she can't team fight. I used to coach this Platinum Yasuo player who used to freeze every game he played. And he would freeze, let's say the Katarina is on the red side and we are on the blue side coming out this way. He would freeze the wave at his tower right about here. The Katarina would go bottom and would get a double kill. And he would ping it and everything. He'd put Mia pings all the way. And he would freeze. And he'd be like, man, every time I play against Katarina, I have losing teammates. I even ping them. I do everything I can. And I still lose. And it's like, no. Katarina wants to roam. If you are freezing and you're giving her roam priority, she's going to get a double kill. It's just a matter of when. Right? So you cannot freeze into Katarina. The best thing that you can do is you have to apply a lot of pressure on her in the 1v1 where she doesn't have the opportunity to do these skirmishes and big team fights, right? Keep her pushed under her tower. If you keep her pushed under her tower, she'll be a lot less incentivized to roam. Now, she probably still will, right? Especially because Katarina's not that great at lane phase. She may still just roam bottom. She may still get this double kill. But at least this way, you're now in a position to take plates so you can neutralize the gold, to deny the XP faster, and to trade sides of the map, right? So if you're playing a champion, that's another tenet to beat her. Always apply pressure so she can't roam, right? Always trade sides of the map if you can't follow her, right? So let's say we're playing Victor versus Katarina. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try to poke her down if she tries to go for last hits, right, with ease and whatnot. I'm going to make sure she can't get on top of me. If she gets on top of me, I die, right? If you stand on daggers, you die. Do not stand on daggers. That's another one. No stand on daggers, right? So I'm going to try to poke her down, and I'm mostly just going to push the wave, right? And when she goes somewhere, let's say she goes bottom, I'm going to go top. Right, and I'm gonna get good vision here. I'm gonna allow my jungle to play around this. I'm gonna get this objective for our team, and I'm gonna make a play on the top side and let my top be more aggressive. If she goes top, I'm gonna go the other way. I'm gonna trade sides of the map since I can't follow her. If you're playing somebody else who is also strong with roaming, you may be able to follow her, especially if your jungle's on that side. Let's say your jungle's going bottom and she goes bottom, you may be able to follow her if you're playing something like Kiana or something like Annie with a good roam. And then she's a very power spike orientated champion. So pay attention to her power spikes, right? Once she gets ult, she's very strong. When she hits level 3, Katarina's level 3 is her strongest point in the lane phase, right? So once she hits level 3, be very careful. Maybe level 6 is a little bit stronger, but these 2 points are where she gets her solo kills more often than not. So set up the wave so you can be safe at level 3 and you be safe at level 6. Make sure you're applying pressure to her when she wants to roam. Make sure you're not letting her take skirmishes. Do not ever take fair skirmishes with her, right? The biggest no-nos I see into Katarina is don't freeze, so she gets to roam for free, and don't roam with her in a fair way, right? If you guys both go bottom, and now you guys 3v3, and you're playing, I don't know, Ahri. Let's just say you're playing Ahri versus Katarina, and you guys take that 3v3. Katarina wants that 3v3, or we don't really. We just want to use our superior wave control to keep her under her tower. So those are the biggest things I see into Katarina. make sure you don't stand on daggers, make sure you apply pressure on her so she can't roam for free, and make sure that you don't take fair roams with her. If that means trading sides of the map, do that. Next champion, we're talking about Sylas. Now, Sylas is actually very, very, very similar to Katarina. He really likes to skirmish. He really likes to 2v2. He really likes to roam. So we're not going to take fair fights with him. There's a couple things we have to be careful about with Sylas in the lane. The biggest rule about Sylas is do not get hooked. Number one, don't get hooked. Now, the way that his hook works, it's his E. His E1, and what E1 means is when he presses it the first time, he gets a little bit of a dash. And then his E2 is chains that he throws out, and he grabs you and hooks you, right? So I'm going to call that the hook. So it actually works in two ways. So I'm going to draw out a little bit of a scenario here in the mid lane. Let's say we're playing mid lane versus Sylas. Let's say the minions are here, right? This is where the minions meet. You know, the caster minions are back here, whatever. Now, let's say you're going to be the blue, and you're standing kind of right here behind the minions, and he's going to be the, let's go orangish, and he's right here. If he E1's down, where could we walk here? Right? He's going to E1 down, which means he dashes and he dashes down. Now his hook is ready, and his hook doesn't go through minions. That's the most important thing. You would have to walk up into the wave. Now, oftentimes Sylases will try to play around minions, and they'll try to use their dash to set up their hook. And if you get hooked, you probably lose. Right? That's the thing about Sylas. If you get hooked, you probably lose. He also really likes to roam. So your goal is to stand in a spot where you can't get hooked that also applies pressure on him so he can't roam for free. If you can do that, you can make sure he can't roam for free and that he can't trade with you effectively. You should be able to snowball income, snowball CS, set up solo kills on him, and end up outscaling him that way. So rule number one, do not get hooked. Rule number two, don't let him roam for free. No free roams. I guess like a third rule would be like no fair skirmishes, kind of similar to Katarina. No fair skirmishes. This means skirmishes. No 2v2s, no 3v3s, etc. If you're going to kill Sylas, make sure you guys have a number advantage. Make sure it's a 2v1, make sure it's a 3v2. Don't just take a 2v2 with him because you will lose that most of the time. I guess the last rule would actually be make sure you're not in melee range so he gets free Ws, right? Assuming you're a ranged champion. If ranged, never let him be in melee W range, right? Now, the reason I'm saying that is because his W is his heal, right? And he has to be in like melee range, just to be very close to you to do that. So if you're playing a ranged champion, whether it's Ari or it's Victor or it's Annie or it's Vex, and you let him W, it's really bad. That's going to be a losing trade pretty much every single time. Even if you're playing a melee champion, don't be in his W range for free. Make sure you have something to punish him with, right? If you're playing an assassin, if he W's into you, make sure you can, trade with him or do something to punish him for doing that, right? So pay attention to his E. His E1 is the dash, his E2 is the hook. If you get hooked, you probably lose. If you're in W range for free, you probably lose. And then don't let him roam. And if you can do all those things, Sylas is pretty easy to deal with. Okay, last one, Zed. Oh my goodness, I hate Zed. Zed is so annoying. Zed is also super popular in the meta right now because of Ravenous Hydra and whatnot. It's the worst thing in the world. So how do you beat Zed? First thing to understand about Zed is that he is an assassin, but he is the most mage-like assassin. What do I mean by that? I mean that he has a lot of access to more range and easier poke than most assassins. Right? You think about Katarina, you think about Akali, you think about Biz. Zed pokes easier than both of them. How does he poke? He pokes with his Q, he pokes with his W and his Q. So we have to understand that he is a mage-like assassin. And what I mean by that, he is the most mage-like assassin. He's going to poke us down. His goal is to poke us until we're in lethal, right? And lethal range isn't until you're at like 50 or 60% health. So the biggest goal here is to make sure you can't get poked down. Make sure we don't get poked down. That means dodging Qs. That means if you're playing a champion that can take something like Second Wind or can take Dorn and Shield, it's very good into Zed. You would think, well, JS, he's an assassin. Isn't bone plating better? No, because he's a poke assassin, right? He's going to poke you down a lot. He's going to be able to poke your bone plating off for free before he goes in. And your second wind will get a lot of value, keeping you out of all-in range, right? I play a lot of TRYND mid. TRYND is like the biggest Zed counter because you take D shield, you take second wind, and you just have insane sustain. He can never poke you down to lethal range. You enjoyed the free win. So that's the most important thing to understand. Now, how do we avoid his poke the best? The second big key to Zed is make sure you don't get hit by both Qs, right? Make sure we avoid getting, I'm going to call it double Q'd. Now, the reason I call it double Q'd, you guys should, if you guys play Zed, you should know what I mean. It's when Zed is standing here, and then he's going to throw out his shadow here. You don't want to get hit by both the Q by him and his shadow, right? So let's say you're going to be the blue, and you're standing here. Well, he's going to be able to W, and then you're in his Q range and the shadow Q range. You get hit by double Qs, right? That's really bad. First thing you can do is if you're playing a ranged champion, you can just tether the range. If he throws out his shadow, let's say you're further back, and he throws his shadow forward, and his shadow Q just barely hits you, that's okay. If you just get hit by one Q, that's okay. Your natural sustain should be enough to deal with that. As long as you're not getting hit by double Q, as long as you're not getting hit by auto attacks, as long as you're not getting hit by his E as well, so he doesn't get that electrocute and whatnot, right? So that's one way to do it. Another way to do it is to just be mechanically better than him, right? If you can be creative with the ways you're dodging, you can make sure that he misses one or both of his Qs, right? So make sure you never, ever, ever get double Q'd. That is the most important thing. Rule number 3, respect his power spikes. Very similar to Katarina. When he first hits level 3, he is incredibly strong because he can proc his electrocute very easily. He has access to his shadow, so he has lots of mobility. He is one of the stronger laners at level 3. When he hits level 6, he has access to his ult. And against an assassin like Zed, his first ult dictates his pacing of the game. So if you respect his first ult and you make sure he doesn't get it off for free, and you either kill him or you trade with him, or you make sure that he doesn't have an opportunity to use his first ult at all, he will probably lose the game. Really, really respect his power spikes. Another one is Dirk. Serrated Dirk is one of the best 1100 gold items in the game. So once he has Dirk, he's going to be really, really strong. And once he has his mythic, he's going to be really, really strong. These power spikes, if you can learn to avoid dying to them immediately, you will ruin his tempo a lot, right? You'll ruin his tempo a lot. That means in between these power spikes, you punish him really, really hard, right? Levels 1 and 2, pretty much every champion in the game beats him. So go make sure you gain some sort of lead. After he crashes a wave when he's level 3, on that bounced wave, step up and make sure you get some sort of pressure. When he gets Dirk, be careful and know that you'll be stronger on your next reset. So play for the next reset and then get some sort of lead. Okay, so that was a kind of speed run of how to deal with the most annoying champions in League of Legends. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. If there are any other champions you want me to talk about, any other champions in different roles even, let me know. If you guys made it to the end of the video, type 14 minutes. Congratulations on making it to the end of a JS method video. If you guys have any more ideas, let me know. I hope you guys are having a blessed time. Y'all have a good night. Peace.